Okay, first though, Ashley with what is coming up next.
Good morning, everyone. Well, the fall season is finally in full swing, and if you're going to get out and about, maybe do some leaf peeping, check out the beautiful aspens that are around southern Colorado, well, we've got just the spots for you. We're hanging out with Hiking Bob this morning, talking about the perfect places to go and also how to be safe and careful on the trails and making sure that you leave no trace behind. That's all coming up next.
All right, the fall season is finally here, and if you're eager to leaf peep around southern Colorado, we've got some tips and tricks for your trip.
Yeah, so right now, Ashley hanging out with Hiking Bob in Mueller State Park with what you need to know before you go. Ashley, good morning.
Hi guys, good morning. Yes, fall season is finally here and we are stoked about it. Joined right now with Hiking Bob, who's going to tell us all about the beautiful fall season that we're seeing so far and how it's a little bit later than usual. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's running about a week, 10 days later than usual, but it's coming. It's starting to turn here. Mueller State Park looks incredible right now.
Yeah, so let's talk about where we are right now and also talk about this trail and why it's so important, you know, as people are getting out this weekend, why it's so important to keep it clean and also, you know, leave no trace behind.
Well, anytime you do any of these things, you want to follow leave no trace principles. You don't want to damage anything. You don't want to hurt anything. You don't want to leave any trace behind other than your footprints on the trail. So obviously know the rules of the park you're going to. For example, this one, you know, dogs aren't allowed on the trail. So if you want to bring your dog, just realize they can't go on the trails with you. So maybe this is a day to leave your pup at home and let them chill for a while while you're out taking pictures.
And yeah, while you're out taking pictures, let's talk about the fall colors because I know we have that beautiful aspen right behind us.
Yep.
What have you seen so far in this area?
They're starting to change here. This weekend I think is going to be really nice for fall colors. If you have a choice of when to come out, I would do it this weekend as opposed to next weekend. I think during the week will be really good. So if you have time to come out during the week, definitely would do that. But I think we're just starting to hit them. It's, like I said, running a little late. So a lot of green, still a lot of yellow, more yellow to come.
And what are some tips, you know, before people even leave the house? What should they have with them just to make sure that they are being responsible out on the trails?
Well, you always want to, of course, be prepared. You want to have a snack. You want to have food. You want to have water to drink. You want to prepare for the weather. This weekend, there's a chance of rain in the afternoon, so be prepared for the weather. And, you know, have the appropriate footwear, know where you're going, get maps, stop at the visitor center, and also check in at the visitor center and say, hey, where are the fall colors? They're going to know where they're at right now, so check in with them. But the usual stuff you want to have whenever you go out hiking. And of course, bring your camera, memory cards, batteries, all that kind of good stuff.
All the backup stuff you may need just in case you run out.
Yep.
And if people are interested in learning more information, not only on when the perfect time to come out is, but even just about photography in general, where should they go? Where should we send them?
They can check out my Facebook page, any of my social media. Best thing to do is go to my website, hikingbob.com, and there's links to everything right off my website.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much. And he's going to be hanging out with us all morning long, telling us all about photography tips and also about the beautiful fall season here in southern Colorado. But for now, I'll toss it back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, first though, Ashley once again with what is coming up next.
Well, leaf peeping season is finally here. And if you're going to hit the trails this weekend or maybe in the next couple of weeks, we're talking with Hiking Bob about the best places to go and what you need to look up at and maybe down at too to get the best photos. That's all coming up next.
Hey, right now, Ashley hanging out with Hiking Bob at Mueller State Park with all the tips and tricks you need before you hit the trails. Good morning.
Yeah, hey guys, yes, it's been a fun morning and we've talked about all the great topics. Fall season finally being here and also photography tips and tricks if you're going to be getting out this weekend or even the next couple of weekends here to come. So Hiking Bob, I know you've been filling us in all morning long, but what are some of the cool spots that people should check out, especially this time of the year?
Well, I've talked about a lot of the spots up here, you know, in the higher elevations going down Highway 67 here at Mueller State Park. But don't forget, even though we don't have aspens down in Colorado Springs, there's a lot of foliage down there that does change. It's going to be a couple more weeks out, but think about places like Bear Creek Park is really great for different oaks and elms and things like that that are going to change. And you can get great pictures in town without having to drive an hour to get up here to Mueller State Park. So keep that in mind that that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks. So check that out too.
Okay.
So always a good spot.
Very cool. And then, yeah, I mean, even talking about Mueller State Park, I know we've seen several trees starting to change, but there's going to be more to come.
Oh yeah, I think we're just getting started. By this weekend, going into next week, probably into the following weekend, I think we're going to have some great colors to see up here.
Oh, I'm so excited. I know we've seen a couple really good ones this morning. So when it comes to taking the perfect photos of these beautiful fall colors of the landscape, what are some quick tips that people can take with them?
Pay attention to what's in your picture. Fill the frame. You don't want a big picture with a little spot of gold in there. Zoom in, walk closer, find a place where you get in closer. I think that's the biggest thing I see is people don't fill the frame with their subject matter, and I think that makes the biggest difference.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get close either.
Get close.
And it doesn't matter what equipment you have either, whether if it's a really nice phone or a really nice camera. You can still take really good photos, right?
All these techniques apply. It doesn't matter what equipment you're using.
Well, very cool. And let's also talk about some of the resources that people can use. I know you mentioned Nature First as being one of those. Can you describe what that is?
Nature First is a program set up by photographers who do this kind of stuff, and it's kind of like ethics for photographers. Call it like a leave no trace for photographers, and then Nature First and Leave No Trace work together. So it's a list of things that nature photographers and landscape photographers should consider when they're ready to go out and take pictures.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned also the Leave No Trace Behind. So it's something very important as people are getting out and about this weekend. What's something they should also keep in mind just to keep everything nice and clean and pretty?
Obviously, if you pack it in, you got to pack it out. Don't leave anything behind. Don't leave your trash behind. Don't do anything like that. If you have a dog with you, you can't have one here. But if you're going someplace with your dog, pick up after your dog. You can't leave your dog mess behind. Things like that. Just little stuff. Go where you're supposed to go. If you're not allowed to go off trail, stay on the trail and follow those simple things. You can still get great pictures. None of that's going to stop you from getting good pictures.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us all morning long. And if people are interested in learning more about photography and also about some great spots around Southern Colorado, where should they go?
They can go to my website, hikingbob.com. There's links to everything there, and they can also message me from there. I'll answer any questions I can.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we're going to toss it back to you, Craig and Abby.
Okay, first though, Ashley once again with what's coming up next.
Good morning, everyone. We're hanging out at Mueller State Park this morning talking about the fall season, how it's finally here. And if you're heading out leaf peeping, well, we're talking to Hiking Bob about the best photo tips and tricks that you need to know before you go. That's all coming up next.
Leaf peeping is serious business in Colorado, and if you're looking for some advice before you hit the trails, we've got you covered.
And now we have brought in the experts right now as Ashley hangs out with Hiking Bob at Mueller State Park and sharing all the important fall photo tips you need to know before you go. Ashley, Bob, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. We've been hanging out in Mueller State Park all morning long, checking out the beautiful fall colors and how, we are in fall, but the fall season has started a little bit slower than usual. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's running just a little behind. It's running a little later than normal, but what looks good is the trees out here are healthy. The conditions are good. Weather's moderate. I think we're still going to have a great fall color season.
And let's also talk about, because we've been checking out different spots all morning long, let's talk about visiting the same place twice. Although it's morning right now, how it's not bad to come back in the afternoon.
No, especially on this park, on this trail here that kind of runs north and south through the park. You come here in the morning, the light's shining in one direction. If you come out here in the afternoon when the sun's 180 degrees the other direction, everything looks different. Different things are lit up. The leaves that were front lit are now backlit, makes a great picture.
And yes, let's talk about the pictures, because a lot of people are going to be out and about checking out the beautiful fall colors themselves this weekend or even next weekend too. Can we talk about, when you do come out and you're wanting to take photos, what's some of the equipment that you should have with you?
Well, ideally you're going to carry a camera like one of these that I have here. Like this one is a pretty big one, a little heavy, a little on the expensive side, but they make some very nice, very small cameras like this one. This is my hiking camera when I don't want to carry big, heavy stuff. These have interchangeable lenses. They're mirrorless. They have nice big sensors. You get really good pictures. But of course, almost everybody shoots with their cell phone. I shoot with my cell phone a lot. If you want pictures to share with your family, to email, to put on Facebook, your cell phone is going to take great pictures. Everything we talked about today applies whether you're using a camera or whether you're using your cell phone.
And yeah, let's talk about setting up the perfect shot too, because I know that's something I struggle with when trying to get the perfect shot of my phone or even with my camera too. What are some things to keep in mind while you're out shooting?
Well, you want to avoid any dead space. You don't want to have a lot of emptiness around your subject. So here, like this picture here of these trees, kind of usually I wouldn't include a lot of sky on this one, but those white clouds make this sky stand out. Now, if that was a plain blue sky, I would probably eliminate it because that's kind of boring. We talked about not getting roads in your picture, but this little trail here with this winding trail that goes around and kind of the leading line, when that turns all gold later this weekend, later this week, that's going to be a nice shot with that leading line taking your eye into that. So just think of those compositional things and look around the frame and make sure there's not, you know, somebody standing in the picture or a telephone pole or a street sign and stuff like that. Just pay attention to everything.
And I know we love this spot in general. You and I, we share the same love for Mueller State Park.
Yep.
And this is also a great spot to take pictures, but what are some other good spots too?
Some other good spots all the way up and down Highway 67 here is great, but be careful when you stop there. Don't stop on traffic and be careful crossing the road. Across the road here, Horse Thief Park is a great spot to go to. The Crags is a great spot to go to. Up north, a lot of the colors are already peaking, so you can get up north, like the Kenosha Pass, places like that are really great, but they're changing. So this is when you're going to start focusing here and looking south from here, and places to the south of the state are going to really start changing pretty
And
soon.
yeah, we should be getting closer and closer to seeing most of the peaks starting to happen, which is really exciting. Now, if people are interested in getting more information on your photography tips and also places to go to, trails to check out, where should they go?
They can go to my website, hikingbob.com. I have links to everything from there, and there's also a contact page there where they can send me an email. I'll answer any questions I can about taking pictures or where to go or anything like that.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for
Sure.
joining us this morning. Craig and Abby, we'll toss it back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Okay.